to get started.
All right, guys, welcome to this episode of Vertcoin Talk. This is episode 20. So today we're going to be going over the July developer update. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. I know it is kind of late here on the East Coast of the United States. Just had some crazy things happening this week. We did get to put out our developer update on the 5th, so about 4 days ago. And luckily I was able to get schedule squared away to where I'd be able to stream a little bit. So make sure and share and like this stream. Share it out with all of your friends. So we're going to have a little bit of a unique situation. We've never done this before on the talk. I actually have a pre-recorded interview that I did with James Lovejoy and Yurt Jap. They were both up in Boston this week, so I was able on Monday or Tuesday? I was able to get an interview with them, just basically talking about in depth where we are with VertHash and where we are in the one-click miner. So the new one-click miner. I'm actually going to demo that for you guys today as well. So I'm going to download it, I'm going to install it, and you're going to see how quick I can mine. Now, here's the caveat. I'm doing this on the same computer that I'm encoding with, so we'll see how that goes. I was blessed enough to be able to purchase a new video card, so I got a 2080 Ti. So we got a lot of horsepower in the gaming computer now that I use for all of the video editing, encoding, everything that we do as far as marketing, or if we need graphics or something in that nature, I do it all on this computer. So it's not a dedicated mining rig. It is a great use case for kind of our one-click miner. This is the average user using their computer day in and day out for normal tasks, but whenever it's on the downtime, then you can use it for mining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. We're going to go over the dev update. And then we're going to go to the pre-recorded video of me, James, and Yurt Jap from earlier this week. Now, while that video is running, if you have any questions, type them in the chat, and I'll be able to answer those. And then, of course, we're going to do Q&A and everything towards the end of this. So if you have questions while this is going on, you can type them back in the chat. I'll go back through and read those as we go through today's talk. But I do want to warn you that the video is about 40 minutes long, the pre-recorded video. So it's going to be a little bit, well, I've done much longer talks in the past. But let's go ahead and let's go over to the screen here. So we have the July dev update. So something you'll notice in this dev update is that we don't have as many images. We don't have as much detail, because one of the cool things that we've done is in our Discord, we've created a channel called Vertcoin Updates. And that is literally real-time updates as we're doing things. So when we're doing something and we're like, we really want to share this with people, normally we'll put that stuff on Twitter or social media. But if anybody knows anything about our project, our Discord is the place to be when it comes to interacting with the community, talking to the developers, sharing ideas. That's kind of the haven for Vertcoin as a ecosystem. No, we have our Reddit, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have all these other different mediums of communication. But really, the Discord is where it is when you want to talk Vertcoin. So in there, we have kind of this real time update thing. So if you want to get real-time updates, not wait for this dev update that comes out once a month. We're also entertaining the idea of possibly even rolling this back to quarterly and using the Vertcoin updates channel in the Discord and our social media platforms as well to push out information as it's happening. So you're not really waiting on this, this dev update at the end of the month. Now, it's great because it's easier to share with people kind of what's happening with the project. A lot of projects don't do this type of stuff. You really don't hear about it until they pay, CoinDesk or something like that to put an article out about them. But we, go through and we just try to make it as easy as possible for us to share this information with everyone. So wanted to just tell you guys about that. If you want some real-time updates, swing over to the Vertcoin Updates channel inside of our Discord. If anybody wants to go to our Discord, there are links down in the description, but it's just discord.gg/Vertcoin, because we are a partner with them, so we get a custom URL. So one-click miner. So as you guys know, we talked about it kind of on the last talk. Yurchat began his work on the new version of the Vertcoin one-click miner, and we were posting updates about that every single day that he was working on that. It was funded by the community, so one of the ideas that we came out with is that if there's a particular piece of software or a particular piece of initiative that we want to take, and we want to gauge the enthusiasm from the community behind that project, let's see about doing a direct donation for that project. While we have our dev fund, that's kind of a general operating fund where we pay for servers, domain names, things of that nature, as well as other initiatives as far as doing dev work, getting miners built and stuff of that nature. But this was a specific one where we had a one-click miner. It technically functioned, but it could have been made better. Doing it in a different language, so doing it in Go as opposed to the original language that the one-click miner was developed in, and also making it truly one-click. So I'm actually going to showcase downloading that and setting that up here towards the end of this. So we're going to run through the dev update, and then we'll get that pre-recorded video where we talk some pretty good details regarding VertHash, one-click miner, and then I'm actually going to show you guys what it's like to install that. So you'll see that here live at the end of the stream here. So we had that come out. That's now in its beta release, so we're no longer in alpha. We're in beta. We're going to wait a little bit more, see if there's any bugs. If you see a bug or anything of that nature with the one-click miner, please submit a bug issue on the GitHub for that particular application. VertHash, so we received the delivery of the test version of the VertHash miner for both Windows and Linux. So we're testing that on the testnet right now, and I did promise in the chat, if we get to 40 concurrent viewers, so we need 40 continuous viewers on this stream, I will mine VertHash on the testnet live on the stream. So, and you'll be able to see what a 1080 Ti can do in VertHash. Now, we have posted some of the numbers that we've gotten in the Vertcoin updates channel. That's another reason why you want to be checking that out on a regular basis. But if we can get 40 viewers, I'll stream it, live, me actually mining on the testnet. So we also have the finishing touches coming up with the Vertcoin core update. So we're going to be getting all of the upstream security updates and everything in Bitcoin brought into the Vertcoin core wallet and onto that onto our blockchain. We want to thank our newest developer for doing the lion's share of work on this. So we're doing the validation, making sure everything looks right. We're doing some testing with it, but that will be coming out here relatively soon as well. The Vertcoin Foundation, we're still waiting to hear back from the IRS as to whether or not if we got 501c3 status. I know I was talking in the Discord with some people with, kind of what are we going to do if we get approved? Obviously, we'll just continue to move forward. That'll be great. People will be able to deduct their donations on their taxes. If we were to get denied, which is a possibility because we're not a full-on out charity, and the fact that we are a cryptocurrency or a technology based around blockchain, the IRS is a little hesitant. I know when I was on the phone with the IRS agent who was handling our case, she did not sound very jovial. I don't know if that's the right word to use. She was not enthusiastic about our project, to put it that way. So if we do get denied, the alternative route that we're looking to go is a 501c6, which is the same type of nonprofit that the NFL is. It's essentially just allowing us to not have to pay capital gains tax on the donations sent to us. The only thing that would be different from a 501c6 and a 501c3 from a donator's perspective is you won't be able to deduct it from your taxes. So that's it. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's kind of where we're sitting at with that. So for marketing, we did one Vertcoin talk last month. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube, our Twitch, and we're on DLive. So with DLive, that's another alternative if for some reason YouTube were to ever kick us off or ban us off of here. We are streaming over there as well. We're also on my Twitter account. So if you search Kanan01 on Twitter, you'll be able to see us on there through Periscope. So we're streaming through all of those different platforms. And then a few days after the live broadcast, when I can compile and edit it down, we do put up a podcast version of this. So there's an audio version that goes out to all of your favorite podcast mediums through Soundcloud, Google Podcast, iTunes, and all that stuff. So you can search for that. Just search for Vertcoin Talk, and you'll be able to find that on there. So I did do an interview with Decentralized TV. This was a few weeks ago. I did, so I don't know if Nemesis or Crypto Mikhail's in the chat, but I did break their record that was held by Bitsby Tripping for the longest interview. So it was 2 hours and 5 minutes. Talked all kinds of things, Vertcoin, mining, all kinds of good stuff. So make sure to go over there and check that out. That was a good time there. We also had Yurjap doing an interview with Altcoin Magazine. So this was a written interview. So you can go onto their Medium post and you can see that interview. That was a really good opportunity just to reach out to a different audience. And you know, while James has done interviews in the past, I've done interviews in the past, Yurjap has done some interviews as well. So the more that we can get more of the development team involved in the kind of this just Q&A back and forth, just letting people get to know the team, that's going to be a benefit. So the advertising campaign that we were doing, we did it for just over 2 months. We did it on Google search and YouTube. So we've paused that campaign. So right now we've paused the campaign until we're trying to get, so one of the things that we wanted to do with that ad campaign is we also want to make sure that what we're spending, we're getting a good return on our investment. So one of the things we want to do, we want to build a landing page on the website that is specifically designed around the Google search ads and the YouTube ads. So we want to see people coming to the website and then actually how many people are actually downloading the miner and running the miner. So we're working on getting those things tooled correctly in the back end, and then we're going to start back up the advertising. And we may actually even go with higher budgets and possibly even do some Twitter advertising and things of that nature as well, because the goal is to let people know we have this new one-click miner that anyone can get on and start mining Vertcoin really easily and securely. So we wanted to pause that for right now, just until we get the rest of what we're doing with being able to track actually how many people are downloading the software because of the ads. Once we get that squared away, we're going to start that back up. But I included some graphics here so you can see, and this is something that kind of goes towards our openness and you know, just letting the community know everything we're doing. So I gave you charts directly from Google AdSense or AdWords. So you can see how much in total we spent, total amount of impressions, clicks. We had 2 campaigns. So we had the actual video. So this was the YouTube ad. And then we had the actual search result for vertcoin.org. The different types of search words that we used, keywords that things came up on, and you can kind of see what that search ad looked like and the different landing page. This didn't really render real well, but it was basically the mining page of our website. See the different devices and demographics. One of the things we definitely notice is that mobile phones is king when it comes to searching, and you know, you can't mine on your mobile phone. So one thing that we're going to take into consideration is when we do the advertising next time, while it's good that at least maybe some of those people on their mobile phones, they got the idea and they're like, oh, when I get home, I'm going to go check that out. We want to really target computers directly so that they have the ability to go download the miner right away. We want that follow through right away. But here you can see the different hour. I mean, it kind of spread out, but it was really heavily leaning towards mail, which is, you know, that's kind of typical for any sort of mining or crypto space. But you know, you can just see kind of the what was coming back to us as far as running these particular types of ads. So we want to thank everybody for submitting the people over the last 2 months for Vertcoin sponsorship of gaming streamers or tournaments. So we've got all of those now. Now we're going to go through all of those and then rank order them as far as best submissions and you know, what type of, if it'll be a good fit with Vertcoin. And then we're hoping that by next month we'll be able to announce sponsorships of some tournaments and some gaming streamers. So this is just another initiative for us to be able to reach out to the gaming community just to let them know about Vertcoin. We also did a VertHash AMA. So you can see here that JK14, he's one of the main architects behind VertHash, he did an AMA on our Reddit. So if you hadn't checked that out, please go over there and you can just see kind of the back and forth with that. We then talked about the development fund. So marketing, we got 131 Vertcoin. General debt fund, we got 132 Vertcoin. And then we had 14,507 donated directly for the one-click miner. And I think also, I can't remember if this also includes the rewrite to P2 pool for VertHash, because we do have to rewrite that software to handle VertHash and the way VertHash operates. It's completely different from normal mining algorithms. So we're having to do some tweaks and stuff there. But that was the total amount of Vertcoin donated to him in order to get that done. And I don't know if you guys have checked out the one-click miner yet, but money well spent. The thing is gorgeous, super easy to use. It's what mining software should be for the average person to be able to get into the space. We had 0 expenditures, which is great. I want to thank everybody for their donations. As always, just a reminder, our pink users in Discord are our big donors, so people who have donated, I think, over 250 Vertcoin to the dev fund or to a particular initiative. So if you see them in the Discord, be sure to thank them. And then we have all of our links right here. So that is the dev update. So as you can see, it's kind of condensed, not nearly as much information as before, because we use not only the Vertcoin talk, but we want to use that Vertcoin updates channel inside of Discord to kind of give you those real-time updates. Because I mean, we're pushing out stuff every other day in there as stuff happens. I mean, we'll put 5-6 things out at a time. So let's see. Nerd2188 says, can somebody please make a video on how to remote into your full node from your phone? So I'll tell you what I do. So I run my full node and everything here on my computer here at home. It's probably not the most secure thing in the world, but I use I use what is it? Chrome Remote Desktop. So through Google Chrome, I'm able to remote into my computer and then operate stuff like that. So so yeah, that's what I do. Other people may have some other suggestions. Let him know in the chat. So one other thing, actually, you know what we're gonna do? Let me just make sure I don't have any other questions here. Glad to be in Canada. Regulations, scary time. Regulations, it's gonna come wherever you are, eventually. Simply because I would look at the stock market or any space that is internationally traded. There's some type of regulations, and I think once one place does regulations, and another government's going to want to do regulations, and it's just going to be a domino effect. And based upon the financial industries around the world right now, I would assume that if you're going to be operating in a Western country, mainly the United States, you're probably going to be the most strict. But I don't know. We'll see. Unfortunately, they have not come out with anything just yet. I just heard that I have an install video of One Click Miner being released this weekend on the channel. Awesome, Crypto Mikhail. That's good. It would be cool to check that out. Let's see. Been GPU mining for a couple of years and helping others do the same on YouTube, Hive OS. Awesome miner mostly, but I did try the one-click miner. Glad to hear you're still working on it. Yeah, definitely. I know we're still making updates because sometimes if you have an odd or non like popular now graphics card, it may throw an error. So if you see that, just submit an issue to the Vertcoin one-click miner page, which is right here. So if you come to the GitHub for Vertcoin, you're going to see one-click miner V next. So I'm dubbing this next generation, but if you come and click here, then you can go to the releases, and you can see those items here. If there's an issue, you just click on issues, and then you can submit your problem right here. And YourJep is still working through these, so they are going to be taken care of and stuff of that nature. So, but this is where you come to get your one-click miner. Now the cool thing is that you can also, this is all open source, so you can see all the assets. You can see the source code right here. So we got this for Linux and Windows, so we got you covered on both of those operating systems. I know we did get our DUNS number, and we're going to try and do some more stuff on Apple OS, but I know mining has always been a challenge on Apple, so we'll see what comes of that in the near future here. But let's see. I would rather see what a 1070 or a 2070 can do. So Dave Tech, California, I can tell you that a 1070, because that's what I had in my computer. I had two 1070s prior to getting the 2080 Ti. The 1070 did 7.2 or 7.1 mega hash. So that might sound like it's horrible, but you also got to remember this is a completely new algorithm. The way that it operates, it's not nearly as fast as the current algorithm. It's completely different. So you can't compare current Lara 2 Rev 3 versus VertHash. Completely different. So I'll just say at 1070, I got just over 7 mega hash. And I will show you what or I might show you. So we got to get up to 40 viewers. We're at 13 right now, so we got to pump these numbers up. But I'll show you what the 2080 Ti. Now, if you're in our Vertcoin Discord, you would already know what the 2080 Ti does. In fact, I think I also shared it in some of the other Discords that I'm in. So the Red Panda Mining Discord, the Family Miner Discord, I've shared some of those stats in there as well. But if you want to know before, if we don't get to 40 viewers and you don't get to see me do VertHash mining here live, then just swing over to our Discord and go into the Vertcoin Updates channel, scroll up, and you'll be able to see what the 2080 Ti gets. Let's see. Canada, not Cali. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's me as an American. As soon as I see CA, I think California because, yeah, sorry about that. Let's see. Has the hash rate been going up for VTC months on months with one-click miner software? So one-click miner just got into beta, so it's been in alpha stage. So this is the thing too. We're thinking, to really gain a lot of people, one, we need to advertise that it's there, but two, we needed to make it super easy so that the developing of the new one-click miner will make it much easier for people to actually be able to be involved in mining. So while it may not be a GPU farm of 10,000 graphics cards, but if you get 10,000 people with one graphics card, you have the same amount of hash power. And I know big miners, so big mining companies or people who have these big mining warehouses would not like this, but I would prefer 10,000 individuals mining on their own computer that they use day in and day out, as opposed to having a single farm mining, because that's more centralization. And if you know anything about us, we're all about decentralization in every aspect. It's not that we hate big farm miners and stuff of that nature. It's not. It's just we love decentralization. We want to spread that out as much as possible. If the big farm miner wants to come on as well, great. We're not going to stop that. We can't stop that. But that's what we're thinking. If we can get 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 individuals mining, that's what we want to go with. So right now, what I'm going to do, since we went through the dev update, I'm going to show you guys the video of let's see, are we tracking goals on Vertcoin website? So I know we have certain goals that, certain things we want to do. We're not necessarily tracking them on the website, but what we will do for advertising, I think you're talking about the advertising for the one-click miner. That is something that we're building right now, and that's kind of why we paused those campaigns, is we want to track people clicking on the ads, coming to the website, and then them converting over to downloading the software and them successfully executing the software and mining. That we want to be able to track that from advertising to mining so we can see how effective it is. Obviously, if we're losing a ton of people at the website, then we need to make some adjustments. But right now we don't know that. So we got to build that infrastructure in. I think in the new one-click miner, there is an option that you can anonymously send some of your mining data to us, and I'll have to check with YurtJap as to what exactly that. I think it's just, are you mining, how long you're mining, and what graphics cards you're using. That just lets us know, is NVIDIA more palatable when it comes to AMD, or if you have an error. I think right now, if you have that checked, if you have an error with a GPU, it does send that error back to YurtJap just to let him know, and that kind of just gives us a little bit more insight and helps us build the product to be better, because at the end of the day, that's the goal. We want as many people mining as possible. So Jeffrey, if you can help with that, swing over to the Discord, talk with YurtJap or CryptoPlankton as to helping out with that. That'd be great. Yeah, and never feel like you can't volunteer. All of us started out as volunteers, just stepping up. So we love to help whenever we can. So I'm going to go to my interview with James and Yurtjap. Now, remember, this is about 40 minutes long. It's a lot of good detail. We dig a little bit deep into the weeds, and when it comes to VertHash, kind of what our goals are, how it's operating, and then also we get an insight of kind of the start to finish of the one-click miner so far. So I'm going to start that now. If you have questions while the video is running, you can do them in the you can type them out in the chat. I'll respond to those. But I will see you back as soon as we wrap up with this. Welcome everybody to this episode of Vertcoin Talk. I want to have our special guests. So we got Yurtjap and James. They're both up in Boston right now. So we're doing this. This is a recording. We're doing this a little bit earlier in the week instead of doing it live this Friday on our Vertcoin Talk, but we wanted to take the opportunity with both of them in the same location just to talk a little bit about some of the latest updates that's happening with Vertcoin. And one of the main topics we want to talk about is VertHash and kind of the developments that we've been making on that. So guys, with that topic, take it away and tell everybody kind of what's happening with VertHash.
Yeah, I think like the important things that are happening right now is that we're making sort of the final tweaks to the design, right? So I think people might be confused with the status that we're at, thinking that we're near completion of the whole deal, like we're ready to deploy it on like mainnet or something, and we're just gonna test it for a little bit on testnet. That's not really the case. So like VertHash is a completely new algorithm inspired by some existing work, but in itself, like the design of VertHash is one of a kind right now. So it's mimicking some of the concepts in like what Ethereum does, like Ethash, and which was also inspired by Hashimoto, just like VertHash, but we sort of deviated on some aspects of it, which makes it a unique algorithm. And the problem with a unique algorithm is that nobody tested it for any like important properties of a hashing function, like is it collision resistant? Is there a way to break it? And without formally verifying that it's actually secure, there's obviously a risk if we deploy it that somebody finds a problem in the hashing algorithm, like for instance happened to other cryptocurrencies that wrote their own hash function. So like there's a serious risk of like not looking at this properly before deploying it, because once it's out there and once there's like a single block mined, we're committed to VertHash forever, because there's no way to like erase the blocks and start over. So as soon as it's out there, we have to make sure before we do that it's like sound. And like the things we're doing now, like writing the miner, we're doing some final tweaks to like the implementation, like during the implementation and seeing it in code, we figured out some potential problems that we mitigated ahead of time. But it doesn't mean that right now, I mean, it's as good as we think it can be, but there's like, we don't have any cryptographers on our team, which makes it very scary to say that it's done. So we need to find a way to get the expertise needed, either by hiring someone that has the expertise, or finding someone who wants to do it for free. But you know, I think that's hard to like look at it from a cryptographer's viewpoint and say, okay, so we're using an existing hash function, but then we're doing some permutations on the result, which end up with the proof of work result. And like as soon as you start changing the behavior or appending operations to an existing hash function, it becomes a new function. And like the combination of these permutations can lead to undesired behavior that make the total function insecure. And so we need to rule out that that's the case. Like by the only way of really knowing is by formally verifying it, but that's like a whole different type of work than like developing things. So
I mean, we're breaking sort of like a cardinal sin of cryptography, right? Which is not to, like, they have this term, don't roll your own crypto, right? Which comes from like rolling your own cigarettes. But they say you shouldn't do that with cryptography because it's not very intuitive, and often the intuitive arguments about like why something is secure don't bear out in reality when you actually do the math out. So, given that we're not cryptographers and we are effectively trying to roll our own crypto, that is something that's incredibly dangerous and something that shouldn't be taken very lightly. Normal hash functions that you might already be familiar with, like SHA-256 or SHA-3, or even Lyra-2 that we use in our current hash function, they've been through literally years, in some cases decades of review, with multiple rounds of different academic researchers looking at it, doing all kinds of different cryptanalysis. And so if we want to be sure that VertHash is not going to be a disaster in the future, we need to put at least a similar level of effort to VertHash. So as Jaap said earlier, it's not about something we can deploy immediately. It's something that's going to be quite iterative as we get feedback from different areas of the cryptography community and they put their input in.
Yeah, so I think security is obviously paramount in anything that we do, because that's kind of the whole purpose around behind blockchains, is making sure everything is secure. What are some things that we can do, or the community can help do, as far as getting that ball rolling when it's time to actually do that peer review aspect? Like, what can the community do to help the team? Because obviously there's just a few of us and we have limited resources on who we know and things of that nature. But what steps could they take in order to help the team verify, and other than just a lot of pinging out people who are cryptographers and hoping that they respond and they're actually interested in looking at it?
Yeah, I think that's not really helpful. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to go around asking cryptographers to please look at this. Like, the way that you would normally do this is you would write down the idea of VertHash, like the design, you would write it down in a paper, and you would have to argue why you think it's secure. So it's important that you make the arguments why you think the thing you created is secure. Because if you don't believe that it's secure, or you cannot argue why it's secure, then you can deem it insecure right away, right? So you have to be able to articulate why you think the mechanism you created is secure, and then you can ask peers to review what you wrote down, whether they can argue why you made a mistake in your paper, in your argument. And if I think our first step would be to write down the design in a way that somebody could review it. I think that's a necessary first step. So we have like functioning code, we have a miner based on the current design, but I think we have to write down what we created in a way that somebody could peer review it, and then find someone who wants to do it. We spoke about this earlier this week, that like we're not really sure if like hiring a security firm would be the right way to go. It probably depends on the expertise the firm has. We're not looking for somebody to review the code we created and say, hey, maybe there's a buffer or flow here, or obviously that has to be ruled out, but that's something that I would expect we would be able to look at. But verifying if a hash function is secure is something very specific, and I'm not sure if every security firm would be equipped to do that properly, let alone the fact that if you're paying someone to do a review of the work that you do, that's also, I don't know.
Conflict of interest.
Might
kind
be,
of,
right?
yeah.
So, are they really going to tear you a new one? Like, expect you to pay a lot of money and then say what you did was complete garbage? I don't know. So we have to find a way that we're completely confident about the security of VertHash before we release it. And right now, I don't have that feeling yet. because it's at the edge of my comfort zone or even outside of it. Like I'm happy with the code that we wrote, and I think the code represents the idea behind it, but whether the idea is sound, that's something that we haven't fully confirmed, and we have to do that before we release it. Like, there's no shame in forking the testnet and seeing if like the miner works and if it produces blocks and if everything properly works, because we can roll back the testnet if it fails. Like, nobody cares about, well, maybe some people care about their testnet coins, but they're worth nothing. So, it's not a problem if it turns out to have bugs. That's why the testnet's there. But I wouldn't be comfortable rolling this out on mainnet without any form of formal verification that this thing is secure. So I think that's like the next bottleneck that we have to overcome, and it's not something I expect to be done in like the next 2-3 months.
Yeah. It definitely looks like it's going to be a long process, and really right now we have the luxury of not having any issues on the network that would require us to fork or to push it. It's kind of why we did the tweak to layer 2 last year.
And there's like, I think the tweak to Lyra 2RE2 shown that we're capable of, like, that was the whole reason behind the algorithm, that it should be possible to tweak it like without having to start over and make a whole new algorithm. So if for whatever reason we find a problem with Lyra 2RE v3, there's also the intermediate solution of making a v4 if it's really necessary. Because experience has shown that that's like an easier task than what we're doing right now. Like, tweaking the existing algorithm is somewhat easier than writing a whole new thing.
Yeah. I think, I guess one thing that we could do, because a lot of people may not have read the dev updates and things of that nature over the last few months, let's kind of go over what is the reason for VertHash and the idea behind it. So I know we kind of put that idea into code, and we're now looking, that code, we've tweaked it a little bit, and we're pretty close to what we believe is close to the final product, but we still have the whole security aspect that we have to go through verifying and things of that nature. We have been able to test it and make sure that it actually mines a block, so the basic functionality is somewhat there. But what's the idea behind VertHash, and how is that manifested in the code that we have now?
Yeah, I think also the idea behind it has evolved over time. So originally the idea was that by using the blockchain data as input to the proof of work function, that miners would have to have a copy of the blockchain on their machine. And while there was a nice idea, and the idea behind it was to make it more difficult for profit switching miners to switch from one algorithm to the other, because they would have to continuously keep updating their local blockchain state in order to be able to switch to Vertcoin. So they would have to run a full node in order to be able to mine. That was the idea originally. And while implementing the first iterations of VertHash, we found that would break like a significant functionality of current Vertcoin network, which is SPV, like a simple payment verification, where you only have the headers of the blockchain that you verify. And then instead of having the full blocks, you only get like the transaction and the Merkle proof for a single transaction, and you just match it against one of the headers that you have, meaning that you don't need to download the whole blockchain, which is what Electrum does. And effectively, we would have broken Electrum. Like, Electrum would not be possible, because in order to verify the header, you would need the full blockchain data. So it was obvious that that was not a good design. And I think the nail in the coffin was the fact that if you would have only one block using this system, you would kill SPV forever. Because in order to verify that one header, you would need the full blockchain data. And so it would be a decision where we could not go back on. And I think a lot of people use SPV still. Like there's a lot of people using Electrum that are either not willing or unable to like do a full node verification. And
that also
so
would kill mobile wallets too, right?
Yes, like mobile wallets would have the same problem, but like mobile phones are becoming increasingly powerful, and it should be possible, especially for a small blockchain like Vertcoin, to like do full verification on your phone. If you're on Wi-Fi, you do full verification, and then like during the day you have to download what is it, five or 600 blocks of a couple kilobytes. That's, you can even do it on like mobile data without much problems. But the most mobile wallets right now use SPV, obviously. Or they just use a central server, like things like Coinomi use, I think, their full node or their index or whatever, or their block explorer. Where like the wallet we created for iOS and Android, like the Bread wallet fork, that actually did like downloading block headers from peers on the network, and then I think they even did blocks. I'm not sure, or they use compact blocks or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, that we would break that possibility forever, so that was not a good idea. So then we iterated on it, and we ended up with a system where we use the headers of the blockchain to create like a data file that's used to mine. And so like the idea behind the algorithm was to make the IO the bottleneck. So instead of making compute the bottleneck with like hashing all the time, you do a very little piece of the algorithm is hashing, and the majority is just based on the result of the hash looking up data in that shared data file all the time. So you're maxing out the IO bandwidth of the GPU. And the idea behind it is that like the memory bandwidth of GPUs is not that much worse than that you can get on an ASIC or on an FPGA. Like for the size of the data file, like for 1 gigabyte, in general, an FPGA has similar memory bandwidths than a GPU, because that's what GPUs need. So if there's a faster way, or if there's a faster type of memory, it will eventually find its way into GPUs as well. So the idea is that the difference between an FPGA and a GPU would be small enough to, even if somebody built a Verthash FPGA, then its speed wouldn't be that impressive. Like it wouldn't be a 10x or 20x, or like with ASICs even 100x, or I'm not sure what the ratio between like a GPU and ASIC for Bitcoin is, but I think it's crazy.
Many thousand.
Right. So,
yeah, and
so
the
that,
cost
that was
of
the
that
idea
FPGA
behind using IO as the bottleneck to the proof of work function. But by removing the requirement for having full block data, we also sort of gave up the nice hash resistance, where in retrospect we figured that like if nice hash would be to implement a smart algorithm to like share the block data with its miner clients, our blockchain doesn't grow enough for that to really be a bottleneck. It's like 1 KB every 2.5 minutes or something. So it's like ridiculously easy to just append to that file incrementally. So like the design was never going to stop NiceHash from mining on Vertcoin.
Yeah. I know one of the main things that people were really excited about was that nice hash resistance per se. But I think what we've learned ever since we forked to Rev 3 is that when we're the primary coin on that algorithm, we haven't seen enough hash rate actually be available on nice hash to do any sort of 51% attacks. So I think by having us as the primary coin on the algorithm, that's been nice hash resistant in itself, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of a misnomer in a way, because that's just because of how NiceHash on its back end has chosen to allocate GPUs to Lyra 2 REv3. So, it's entirely possible that in the future NiceHash could reallocate GPUs from Fhash or some other algorithm. And then, yeah, Vertcoin would totally be 51%able via NiceHash in that way. So I don't think that, forking to a new algorithm that's GPU based does not solve that problem in any way. It's just made it appear slightly different. But I think the risk of a 51% attack is still pretty huge, similar to what it was before, if not the same. The primary motivation of Verthash, I think, was coming down to what does we mean when we say Vertcoin is ASIC resistant? People get confused and they think, oh, is it that Lyra 2 RE is ASIC resistant in some way? The reality is that Lyra 2 RE is not really that ASIC resistant, right? It runs a lot better on an ASIC or an FPGA than it does on a GPU. The ASIC resistance of Vertcoin comes from governance. The fact that we are willing to propose changes in the event that an ASIC is created, which effectively nuke that ASIC and make it no longer viable. So we've done that several times in the past and it's worked, but it's not ideal because it involves us hard forking the Vertcoin network every time that eventuality comes about. Ideally, in a decentralized cryptocurrency, it would be inherently ASIC resistant. Since Lyra 2 RE was designed, first of all, new research has come about memory hard hash functions, which is what the Verthash design is based off. Verthash, its goal is to be a static memory hard hash function. So Lyra 2 is what's called a dynamic memory hard hash function. So the memory usage is created at the time that you produce a hash. Whereas in Verthash, we make this big data blob that is kept around for a long time and you have to use that repeatedly. So it doesn't give you any sort of advantage to optimize the algorithm in any other way than increasing your memory bandwidth to access that file. So it's really about shifting from a model where we achieve ASIC resistance through governance and through changing the algorithm to a model where we achieve ASIC resistance through computer science fundamentals and writing an algorithm that is actually resistant to ASICs in a more fundamental way. The NiceHash resistance was a bonus that we would like to have, and it is going to be a little bit more of a pain for them to implement because the very fact that you have this header file which is specific to different coins is a bit different than what they've had to deal with so far, I believe. But the reality is they could, if they really wanted to put the engineering effort in, implement that and have all their users use it. So I think, long term, the goal to sort of prevent 51% attacks by NiceHash on Vertcoin is to build the network up and try and make Vertcoin the largest GPU coin. I don't think it's possible to be 51% attack resistant without being the largest coin in your mining class. So that means, being the largest coin with a SHA-256 ASIC, or being the largest coin with an Scrypt ASIC, or being the largest GPU coin. Right now that's Ethereum, and as we've seen, Ethereum hasn't been 51% attacked, but Ethereum Classic has, and a number of other Fhash coins have. So I think long term, if we really want Vertcoin to be both a GPU coin and be resistant to 51% attacks, it needs to become a much larger mining network.
Yeah, and I know that's a task in and of itself that really none of us can really make happen. It's kind of a collective thing that the community and just people who mine in general on GPUs, they have to make that conscious decision that I'm going to actually mine Vertcoin. I don't even know what we could do as a team, you could say, to even influence people to come mine on Vertcoin, because most of the time all they're worried about is what is it going to pay out? Is it going to cover my power costs? Am I going to make some profit off of it?
Right.
And that changes every month. You saw Grin come out, and all of a sudden that was the new thing, and now that's fallen back off, and now people are back onto Ethereum. But now one of the things that may benefit us is that if Ethereum goes to proof of stake, then obviously all of those GPUs have to go somewhere. Where they go, I don't know. I would hope that our reputation of being GPU friendly and having that commitment to that community would bolster a little bit of activity coming and following our way. But yeah, I guess only time will tell. I mean, unless you guys have any thoughts of ways that we can make it more attractive for miners to come mine on Vertcoin.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of GPUs out there, and I think most of probably not mining cryptocurrency right now. I would expect the vast majority are associated with, probably first of all, video games, and maybe second of all, like 3D modeling and things like that. So, this is where the work on the one-click miner comes in, right? I think to grow the network, realistically, it's going to be more about bringing new people in who have never mined before and showing them that it's, something interesting that they can do, and maybe something they can, potentially make money off depending on their electricity costs. So that's why, it's all about onboarding those new people, not scaring them off with, crazy command line tools at the first principle. So that's what, the one-click miner has always been about.
Which is a great segue into the new one-click miner that luckily our community really stepped up. And we kind of tried this new idea of kind of crowdfunding for a particular project, getting some interest, seeing how the community is really interested in a new project. And luckily we have the full developer for the new one-click miner here with us. So Jeff, let us know kind of how this whole process started and where we've ended up to today with the one-click miner.
Yeah, I mean, there were several ideas in the past launched to make the one-click miner go back to actually being one click, because for various reasons, people wanting additional settings, it became I think a 6-click miner or something like that. Like you had to do a couple of settings in order to start mining, and it was also not compatible with Linux. Like it would only work on Windows. And so we did some R&D into rewriting the one-click miner in Go, which would be better cross-platform, run on Linux as well. There's obviously miners for Linux, like people mine on Linux. There's CC miner, and there's the closed source miners for Linux as well. And so I think we had a good picture of what the new and improved one-click looked like. And we had Plankton make a couple of designs to how it would look, and everybody was very happy about that. So the only problem was that we don't have the time to rebuild software like this, because it takes a serious effort to rebuild it. And so, well, I mean, luckily I'm in a position where I can work on other stuff. I'm not employed, so I can work on projects that seem interesting and that can provide me with income. And so I suggested to the community to do some fundraising, and for the community to sort of hire me to do this one-click miner. I wrote down a plan on what I think should happen, which functionality should go in the new one-click miner, and how long it would take me to build it. And then I just put a price tag on it and said, okay, if the community is able to fundraise this amount of money, then I can just take 5 days out of my schedule and work on this instead of my other, paid assignments that I have. And that was received. I mean, I honestly did not expect this kind of response, because I think over the last month there was 10,000 Vertcoin donated, something like that. 10,000 Vertcoin was donated. The majority of which was donated by Adam, obviously. But still, I mean, that's a tremendous result in such a short time. And I did not expect that to happen. So I was able to put in some dedicated effort during normal working days, which is also way more effective than working on this for 2 hours after you're home after a long working day. So yeah, obviously I made fairly good progress in short time, and now we have like it. To me, it seems like a working product, and we're just ironing out the last weird things that are happening, and then we can just, I think, replace the old one-click miner with an actual one-click miner. And obviously, there's less functionality in this one. So, like the goal of this miner was to have people actually start it up and be mining within a minute. Like that was the idea. You download it, you start it up, and you're mining within, I think, 20 seconds.
You put in a password, and it's
you
just
put in
a
password to protect the coins. Yeah, we could remove that even, but
I think it's okay to be there.
Yeah. Like only the first time you have to enter the password, and then next time you start it up, it'll start mining even without doing a click. You can have it auto start. If you start up your PC, it starts mining. So yeah, there's probably a ton of things we can improve to it, but this seems like a very easy way to get new people onto mining Vertcoin. And I think like our original goal was to like do some low-key advertising and trying to get the attention of like gamers or like people that have a PC with a decent GPU that's just idling all the time. And they're not even aware that they can make money with a GPU by just helping our network, produce blocks. So I think by making it very easy to participate, we could harvest a lot of idle GPU power that's just out there, not being used to mine cryptocurrency. And yeah, hopefully people can make some money in the process. Like it's like I mean, mining to me is more of a hobby than real income. And I think for most amateur miners, that's the case. Like they like the process, they like mining. It's a fun concept. You learn about like tweaking your graphics card and things like that. But like the threshold to get started is fairly high. Like what James said is you have to like learn command line, and you have to like download all this weird software, and it trips your antivirus, and you have to set up a wallet, and you have to make sure that you're like, we've seen people mine to invalid addresses like tons of times. They just like it shows their name on the P2 pool page. It's like, yeah, okay, nobody's going to get any money for that. So there's like lots of things that you do wrong, and there's lots of things that can like stop the conversion of somebody from being interested to actually mining. There's a lot of drop-off points where they can say, forget it. This is too hard. And by making it this easy to start mining, we could onboard a lot of people to become miners. And I think it would be interesting to see like the next step for me, once we think this product is like ready to release, is to see, okay, if you hit one of the like AdWords and you see something about mining cryptocurrency, like how many of the people that land on a page saying, okay, this is Vertcoin, this is why we want it to be mined by GPUs, and here's how you can do it. Like how many people would actually start doing that? And yeah, would it be worth the effort to like evangelize mining Vertcoin to the world and say, okay, this is something you should do. If you have a GPU, you should just try it. It's fun in a way. And yeah, if you get a couple thousand people doing that, which is not that much, there's a lot of people with PCs out there. But if you add like a couple thousand GPUs to the network, that's significant, I think. So yeah, this could be, I think it's easier to like convince people that have idle hardware to like try mining than it would be for us to try and convince professional miners to switch over to Vertcoin. Because I think professional miners are in general just looking for profits. And I think it's already hard for people mining Vertcoin to do so profitably, given the current like hash rate on the network and the current price. Like there's an exchange between price and hash rate, and like I don't think adding hash rate makes the price go up. So it just means that we have to split the pot with more people. So a large miner would get less, right? So yeah, I mean, gradually growing the hash rate by introducing new people to mining seems like a better option than like waiting for Ethereum to go proof of stake and then everybody switching over. I don't see that. I would honestly think they would rather turn it off or sell the GPUs than go shopping for other coins. I'm not sure, but that's a feeling I have.
Yeah, and there's another aspect to it as well, and that's, nice hash is the thing we're trying to combat here to an extent. But, without them, there could just be another marketplace which does a similar thing. But what they do have is their auto miner, which is very much one click and is very easy to use. So by having a competitor tool to that, which is equally easy to use, you'll at least get a large group of people that have looked at mining a single cryptocurrency and have just decided, oh, this is too difficult. I mean, I know when I first started mining Bitcoin, like back in 2012, 2013, like I spent ages being like, where is the GUI miner for this? Like, I don't want to crack out the command line and start writing batch files and things like this. So I know how these people feel because I was in that position at one point. And, at that time there was a GUI miner eventually that I did use, and that was how I first got into it. So I think, having something like that available is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and think, your level of comfortability with computers and code at that point, and you were still worrying where that GUI miner is. Imagine a 15-year-old kid who all he does is play video. He's not really into coding and things of that nature, but he's got his computer that's made to play Fortnite, and that's all he cares about. But the thing's sitting there idle for 18 hours a day. Even something like that, or the average middle-aged guy who he works his 9 to 5, but he has a decent computer and he likes to play Battlefield on his computer with his friends whenever he's not working. This is the whole tool of the one-click miner being an entry-level miner, because I know I've had some more advanced miners say to me, well, could we add this tool or add that function? And I was telling them that that's not the target audience. The target audience is your average everyday person who's not into mining at all, and they want to make it as easy as possible for them to onboard, and that's what this targets. And I think, go ahead.
I was just say the market is clearly huge. I mean, you just have to go on Twitch, and there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people watching Twitch streamers stream their video games. And I would expect the vast majority of those people to have a mining-capable GPU in their computer. That's mostly completely untapped as far as I can tell. And the great thing about GPU mining is there's no commitment required. If you already have a GPU in your computer, you don't need to buy anything else. You just download this free software, and it does stuff for you. Which is different from getting into Bitcoin mining or Litecoin mining, where you have to go and make potentially a multiple $100, if not $1,000 investment for something you may not even do in the long term or decide that you like. So. Mm-hmm. It expands the amount of people who are just willing to take that first step and just try it, and from there, who knows how many people you would get interested in the space more generally. And I'd be happy even if it doesn't benefit Vertcoin directly, if it just brings more people into the cryptocurrency space and they learn about it. I think that's a good sort of societal impact in and of itself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, cool. So, I mean, we're going to do some more videos on the one-click miner as we start to get that finalized. I mean, we're pretty close here now, but we're going to do some demos. This is how you get started. I mean, I know your Jep did a video on his Twitter that it was, 45 seconds? Boom, you're up and mining. So it is really a true one-click, super easy to install, and I think it's going to definitely revolutionize the ability to onboard people into the mining space. Onboarding people into Coinbase or these exchanges where you can actually purchase crypto cryptocurrency coins, that's a completely different beast, because you're actually having to get people to give up funds at that point. In this sense, we're basically onboarding people to do something with hardware that they already have, and that hardware isn't going to just go into a landfill whenever they stop mining. They can continue to use it for gaming. They can continue to use it for Photoshop or other productivity tasks and things of that nature. So we're not also contributing to waste and things of that nature due to the ASIC machines that are normally used on Bitcoin, Litecoin, and other projects.
Yeah, and I mean, onboarding people onto exchanges, pushing that on people, I don't think that's something we should do or even
Definitely not.
do from a legal perspective. So, whereas mining, I don't really see what the issue with that is. That's, you spending electricity, your own hardware, and generating something for yourself. So, I think that's something that we can and should be doing, is encouraging people to interact with the network in a positive way that isn't, just about trading and things like that. It's actually about distributed consensus and things a little bit more in depth with what cryptocurrency is actually about.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has been lost in the space as far as the what it's really about. Unfortunately, it's kind of been taken over by a lot of other frivolous stuff that really doesn't necessarily bring positive things to the space. But just to segue into the next little thing we want to talk about is some security updates that's coming to the Vertcoin wallet. So James, I'll let you take this from here, and you can kind of just go over everything that we're looking to bring in from upstream with BTC into the next few iterations of the Vertcoin Core wallet.
Yeah, so the current Vertcoin Core node is version 0.14, which is based on Bitcoin Core 0.16.3, which is sort of two major versions old now. So Bitcoin upstream is on 0.18.1 now as of today. So it makes sense for us to keep rebasing the Vertcoin changes onto the latest version of Bitcoin Core, because they are constantly adding security updates to Bitcoin Core. Things that could break the network, things that could allow you to steal coins, a number of which they don't even reveal in public because the damage could be so terrible if people know what it is. And as a result, we don't know what they are because they're not going to tell us until months after it's fixed and, the vast majority of people have upgraded. So, it's critically important that we keep up to date as much as we can with upstream Bitcoin because, they have tens, if not hundreds, of reviewers looking at that, whereas we, for the most part, just have myself and Patty. So, we are piggybacking, in a sense, off of the benefit that they give and the value that they bring to the cryptocurrency space. But, in order to keep the Vertcoin network secure and to keep the users safe, that's what we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And as far as the way we're looking to roll this out, are we looking to do all of the updates whenever we release VertHash onto the mainnet, or are we trying to step that into the mainnet network?
Yeah, so our rebase onto 0.18, which will be version 0.15 of Vertcoin Core, that is pretty much ready to go. We've just been doing final testing, getting the builds together for the various different platforms so that people can produce those for themselves. And once we're satisfied, which is going to be probably in the next week or so, we'll tag a pre-release version that people can try out, and then once we've satisfied that it's not going to delete everyone's coins and it doesn't hard fork the network, which, to be fair, that has happened before in previous versions, so you have to be really sure that that's not going to happen. Then we'll do a proper release, and exchanges can update and things like that, merchants.
Yo, Jap and James, thank you very much for joining us here today on Vertcoin Talk. It's always good to have you guys on the show. If anybody in the community wants to reach out to these guys, they're always in the Discord. I'm sure they'd be happy to hear from you. And we will have you guys back on for a future episode once we get a little bit further down this year, I guess towards the end of the year maybe. But we'll talk about some more implementation of kind of the stuff that we've already talked about for today. But I just want to thank you guys very much for joining us.
Right, my pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. I know it was a little long. We're going on an hour and 19 minutes, although we had about 10 minutes of pre-roll music and stuff of that nature. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. You really enjoyed the in-depth talk, the real talk around VertHash, the difficulty of even doing your own hashing function. Like James was talking about, we're kind of breaking a cardinal sin because we're doing it for our own cryptocurrency. But we're gonna look at getting the paper finalized as far as the idea and the concept behind it. I mean, we already got it down in code, but we got to put that on paper. Then we can start having people from the cryptography community start to review this, peer review and things of that nature. But now I wanted to go over and let's actually download the one-click miner and run it. So one of the things I wanted to point out is that ever since beta, which was 15 days ago, you can see the additional updates that we got there. So one of the other cool things is that our one-click miner is translated into a bunch of languages, and this was all done from the community. So what your chap did is he gave out a bounty of people who would translate the code for the one-click miner into different languages, because at the end of the day, we want this to go to everyone. So not only is it in English, I have it in Croatian, Swedish, Slovenian, and please forgive me if I'm pronouncing these wrong, but Portuguese, Italian, Polish, Japanese, Chinese, Romanian, French, Danish, Hindi, Punjab, and Norwegian. And now we also have a German translation as well. So in the latest beta 4. So, this, we're not just trying to, do this in English. Granted, that's my everyday language, but, we want to get this out to everybody. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to download the Vertcoin one-click miner beta. So here it is. I downloaded it, and we're going to extract this. So you can't see this just yet, but here we go. Let me minimize all this. So here we go. So there is, when you extract it, you have the Vertcoin one-click miner.exe. Now I haven't tested this, so let's see how the actual mining happens here with my GPU. So I'm going to run the one-click miner.exe. See if it pops up. Nope. So it popped up over here. So here we go. So as soon as you run it, it's installing the miner. And I've already installed this before, so I already have my password put in, but it automatically started mining. So in here, it will give you a current spendable amount of Vertcoin. And actually, let me pull up my overclocking software. So just so you can see what that looks like. So it actually hasn't started just mining just yet, but you can see here, this is my day-to-day profile. Normally my mining profile, I'm 1200 on my memory, 160 on my clock, and then I'm down to 65% of power adjustment. So that normally pulls about 170 watts, and I'm doing roughly 101 mega hash with the 2080 Ti. But here you can see that you can share anonymous statistical data with us. Here you can also report an issue. If you want to send coins, you just come here, you send the receiver address, and then you have to put in your wallet password. So remember, that password is there to protect your coins. Under settings, you have the ability to enable debugging. You can auto start this, and then you can also use the closed source miner. We don't endorse closed source mining because we can't look at the code, but closed source miners are included in with the Vertcoin one-click miner. So the open source miners is you have CC miner, and then you also have Lykel miner. So those are the NVIDIA and AMD miners that are open source. The closed source miners for AMD is Team Red Miner, and then for NVIDIA is Crypto Dredge. So you'll see the closed sourse miners are faster as far as hash rate goes, but like I said, here we can see this is me encoding two 4K monitors, and I'm getting on average 82 mega hash at the moment. Like I said, normally in my optimal spec, when I turn my monitors off, I'm not encoding. I'm getting over 100. I'm only pulling about 170 I'm only pulling 170 watts. So that's it. It's that quick. It's literally one click. It downloads the miners. It starts running right away. If I stop the mining here, you see, click the button to start mining now. And you don't have to worry about installing a wallet. You just send. So what we would advocate is that you have the core wallet on your computer that has the full blockchain, and then when you mine enough coins that you're happy with sending over, then you just put in an address to your core wallet or to Bittrex or wherever, Konomi wallet, Edge wallet, and you want to send these from the one-click miner to a different wallet. You just put in that address, put in your wallet password, and boom, you're off to the races. So that is the one-click miner. Now, let me see here. Want to go back just to see if I had any questions that popped up here real quick. Glad you guys liked the video, by the way. I'm gonna upload that video as a separate video from the talk here on the YouTube channel. I might even put it out as a podcast as well, just its own video. So if you want to share that with people, please do so. So Red Panda Man said, I'm not quite sure on the new one-click miner. I'm not mining VTC currently. I've got a lot of big bills coming in, so I got to go with the profitable route at the moment. Completely understand. When it comes to mining, you have to take that in consideration, especially when you have you're doing it from a profit standpoint, when that's the main thing. Every month you're trying to make sure that your power versus profit ratio is good. But yeah, so that's the one-click miner. Guys, download it. Let us know what you think. Come over to our Discord. Hit us up if there's any suggestions on improvements. By all means, I know. And one thing to keep in mind, the goal is to make this user friendly and basically for people who've never done mining before. So we don't want to put a ton of add-ons and make it super complicated again. We want this to still just be the one-click miner. So like I said, just come over here, check out the latest beta. This was done 3 days ago. So you can see some different code is running. And like I said, one of the cool things about it, our one-click miner is open source. You can view all of the code, you can view everything, and you can review it yourself. That's one of the unique things about Vertcoin as a project. All of our stuff is open source. We don't charge you for any of the software, none of that. So want to thank everybody for tuning in for the duration of the stream. We're now almost at an hour and a half. So I want to just thank you guys once again for checking out this Vertcoin talk. Unfortunately, we did not hit the 40 viewers. So you won't see me mine on Verthash. But if you want those numbers as to what we've seen so far on a 1070, I've tested it on a 1070 that's a 1070 card in a laptop. It's one of my work computers. Tested it there, got just over 7 mega hash. Unfortunately, I don't have MSI Afterburner or anything like that to where I can tweak it. So that was just full bore, full power. And then I have gotten, let me see. I'll just put it in here so I can see. So I got 16.32 mega hash at 170 watts with the 2080 Ti on Verthash. 7.13 mega hash on the 1070 with the laptop with full power and such. So that's kind of the differences. With Verthash, I'm getting 16.32 mega hash at 170 watts. With Layer 2 Rev 3, I'm getting 101 mega hash at 170 watts. So just so you can just get some comparison and things of that nature. But yeah. Glad you guys enjoyed the video. Glad you guys enjoyed the talk. If you have any other questions, be sure to head over to our Discord and talk to us there. And let me go ahead and wrap that up here. I'm going to roll out with one of our previous videos that we've done for the Vertcoin YouTube channel, so you can check that out. But I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and we will see you in the next one.
What is Vertcoin? Vertcoin is a digital currency that can be sent between people over the internet without having to rely on any payment processor. Compared to other alternative technologies, Vertcoin has a number of advantages. Like Bitcoin and Litecoin, Vertcoin isn't controlled by large banks or institutions. Vertcoin is free from control of big mining hardware manufacturers and can be mined by anybody profitably. One of Vertcoin's biggest strengths is its active community of developers and members working as volunteers, all growing entirely off of donations. With Vertcoin, you can truly be your own bank. Let's take a look at some of the great features Vertcoin has to offer. Decentralized mining. Mining should be fair and easy, which is what Vertcoin delivers by not allowing ASICs on the network. This ensures long-term security and fair distribution of the currency. Vertcoin's one-click miner. Building a strong network requires many miners. So Vertcoin made mining easy with their one-click miner. Now anyone can mine and earn Vertcoin fairly and easily at the single click of a button. Active development team. Vertcoin developers are constantly working towards advancements in blockchain technology. And building strong relationships with other blockchain developers helps us learn and share information for better outcomes. Segregated witness. SegWit allows Vertcoin to increase its block sizes and add second-layer solutions for further improvements, such as the Lightning Network. Lightning Network. The Lightning Network offers scalable, instant blockchain transactions, allowing for massive increases in network capacity and an instant point of sale for merchant adoption. Atomic cross-chain swaps. A decentralized way of exchanging your Vertcoin with another coin that exists on a different blockchain. One of the benefits to Vertcoin is that the software is completely open source and anybody can review the code. Vertcoin is changing the financial system, the same way the internet changed publishing. Vertcoin will allow everyone access to the global market, incentivizing great ideas to flourish. Let's take a look at some examples of how Vertcoin is already used today. You can purchase video games, gifts, books, servers, and even a nice pair of socks. Vertcoin is listed on a number of exchanges where you can exchange those coins for dollars, euros, and more. Vertcoin's low transaction fees and quick payments allow any small business to offer multiple payment options. Unlike Visa and MasterCard, there isn't any cost to get set up to accept Vertcoin as a business. There are no chargebacks, and there's just a very small transaction fee that equates to about 1 cent. You get additional business from the crypto economy by accepting cryptocurrencies. Does this look like something you would be interested in? Do you want to know where to buy and how to mine your first Vertcoin? Go to vertcoin.org today.